It's a New Zealand. It's a Kiwi.
Okay. Yes, I think there's people listening in now. Okay, Bula Vinaka, everybody, Bula Viti, Bula America, New Zealand. Yes. Bula Vinaka na siya matiko mai, na kay Vinaka Nikua. Okay. Oh, yes, there's a lot of your fans are listening in now. Okay, Buli Vinaka, everybody. Vinaka for tuning in for our Talanoa tonight as we continue with this very special month of March. As we know, Happy International Women's Day. Sassy. Yeah.
Vinaka.
So last week we were celebrating the International Women's Day, and now we are moving on to the Women's History Month, because whole of this month is celebrating women's achievements and all that women has contributed to society. So we focused on 6 of our amazing women last week. I think if I remember their names, so Meriseni Niundamu, Nunia Thomas Moko, Merawai Rita Vunindilo,
Lovely.
Nirmala Balram, Elizabeth Eresito, and Mere Buli Sobosobo. So to all these amazing women,
wow,
listening in from around Fiji and around the world, all supporting these ladies, we were really happy that they were able to make time to talk to us. Also, Fanira Ravula, she's from Nayau in Laos, and she also spoke to us on Friday, sharing with us her experience of leaving Fiji when she was 17, going over to Australia and working in tourism and all these different places around Fiji, but her experience spoke volume. It was her name. She didn't have to apply for jobs. It was the results of her work spoke for her, which was amazing. And I think bringing in that theme from last week with celebrating our women, now we come to this very special moment where we're able to talk to you. Petero SIOWELI, as we all know you as Sassy, as your stage name. So on behalf of all of us listening in tonight from different parts of the world as well as in Fiji, we want to welcome you to our talent session tonight. Yeah, how are you tonight?
Vinaka Nay. I still call you Nay, my auntie. Bula Vinaka, everybody that's tuning in as well. Thank you so much just for supporting this platform as well as my platform. I'm really well. Nay. It's getting cold over here in Auckland. We just lit the fire tonight for the first time, so we're starting to feel the chill in the air. You know, we've been living in Fiji too long, when we have to light the fire in March.
As I mentioned in your promo for the show tonight, I was mentioning that you were in Fiji and then you came back to New Zealand. How was your experience being in Fiji, Bex?
It's really a home for me. It's probably more of a home for me now than Auckland is. I'm actually getting used to being here again in New Zealand. I'm loving it. I have to say it's really nice to come back, but Fiji is just such a home for me. Some very good fond memories there. You know, I've lived in more than just Suva. I lived in Taveuni, and that was such an experience. I think I'd recommend everybody to go and live on the islands, you know, at some point in your life. Live in an island and really just live off the land and go simple, unplug. So for me, there were a lot of life lessons living in Fiji and a lot of value for my children. You know, it helps build their cultural identity as Fijian children. And they're not just kids that have a Fijian heritage that live in New Zealand. They actually know what it's like to drink the water, touch the earth with their feet, pick the crops, you know, go and swim, bathe in the river. And they've experienced life with no power, no water, running water, simple life, you know. So I really appreciate that.
Wow.
And the beautiful people, of course.
Absolutely. And I think that's a huge life lesson for all of us, especially those of us who live overseas. Many of us are logging in tonight, and some will watch our interview later on. Thank you for championing that, the importance of, grounding our children, in this case, literally grounding, stepping on the ground, swimming in the river,
Right.
all those things, because those are life lessons, right?
Yes, and survival skills, you know. We really felt it was important for them to understand where they come from, not only where they come from, but how to live in that world and how to fit in. And not just to say, I'm from Fiji, but to be like, I belong here, you know. I'm one with the Vanua. So now I feel like they can really stand strong in that. And as a mother of Fijian children, it was important for me to also have that relatability, to understand what it means to be a Fijian in this kind of modern context. Because I think for these kids who are born overseas, and many people tuning in might relate to this with their kids or themselves, that it's quite a challenge to navigate around that cultural identity they might be having as not having been born in the islands, but coming from the islands.
Yes, absolutely. Very good. Oh, Vinaka. So, you mentioned about your children. That's really beautiful. Would you be able to, share with us a little bit about your family, your own upbringing in New Zealand? Would you like to share a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, you know my mom, Ruth, so she's definitely been a tower of strength for me. She raised my sister and I on her own, and she's really an incredible woman that has this ability to make connections with people, deep connections. And I always admire her for her lifelong friendships. So I've grown up with some strong values there about networking, relationship building, loyalty, things like that. We grew up in a Christian home, and some good values there. And really, we've come back into that community now. Admire my mum for giving us those values from a young age. Yes. And it was just a small family unit. It was just my sister and myself with my mum.
Yes. And your sister, remember, is Hannah?
Hannah, yeah. Hannah has she's got 2 children. I like being an auntie. It's something new for me, and I really love that feeling of having some kids to spoil in your life that are not your own children. You don't have the weight of like discipline. I can just spoil them.
Oh, that's really nice.
Nice.
Ruth is listening in, Vinaka Ruth. Ruth has just been an amazing a woman. I've been very blessed to meet her through you, Bex, and we've done a few work together through Ako Aotearoa. It's an amazing work that she's doing, and she's very dedicated and very loyal. She sets a very good example, I think, for you and Hannah.
Yeah.
I remember Bex, while talking to Mom, when it comes to music, with you. And I remember she said, your grandmother was very musical too. Would you like to share a little bit about that, as to how all these amazing women contributed to your field of being, in the music industry? Can you share?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's so true, Nay. I've had a lot of musical influences in my life that were from all over the place, but the grounding that I have in music is from my family, definitely. So my mom grew up with an evangelist father. He was a preacher. He would go all around the Coromandel region in New Zealand preaching, and she grew up with her mother playing the piano and really leading their family music group. They were like a choir, and they would sing hymns, and she played the piano, and I think she actually taught them to play the piano as well. So my mom and her sisters and her brother, and those kind of skills just built within the family were passed on to the next generation, and most of my cousins, well, I think all of my cousins are very musical. So very lucky. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really awesome. So would you say that through your family and other individuals that helped you move in make music as sort of like your profession? Did they contribute to that?
Yeah, I definitely would credit my mum with just placing so much value on music in our childhood, because, you know, being a solo mother, it was quite an expense to put us through music classes, and she was really committed to that. And then she had a friend that helped us later on. Some friends gave some support there as well to keep us having lessons. And I learned violin all through my life from a very young age. I think it was 5 or 6. Right up until I left school, basically I was playing the violin quite high level. I got into orchestras and I was leading orchestras, and, you know, that's all from my mum pushing that, you know, that it's very important to have music and extracurricular activities going on. So I also did piano lessons. And then when I came into high school, I asked my mum if I could do singing lessons. And I mean, we have been singing all our lives. So I think for her, she probably thought, oh, you don't need lessons, you're really good, you know. But for me, I knew to take it to the next level, I needed some technique, some kind of a technical foundation from which I could build, you know, a career. And I knew from that time, I think I was about 14, singing was a big thing for me, you know.
Wow, that's, I think you're highlighting some really key points there for parents, how they can mold their children, you know, in different talents, because all children are different.
Yes.
Some are talented in, you know, various ways, but in this case, the talent of music was already there. So your mom knew and supported what you wanted. And again, the use of instruments. Wow, it's really
Yes.
to know that violin and all the other instruments you were able to play as well. That's really
I
awesome.
feel very blessed, Nay. You know, that's another thing I learned in Fiji is having grown up in New Zealand, we are exposed to so many wonderful arts and culture. And we have theatres, you know, plenty of theatres, and we have orchestras everywhere. Things that I grew up with, I think I took it for granted. I didn't realize that, well, it hadn't occurred to me as a kid that other kids might not grow up with the same experience. Until when you really go and live in a country. And I taught music, excuse me, at the international school, excuse me, in Suva. And when I went there, I realized that these kids, so many of them had never seen an orchestra, had never seen some of these instruments like the bassoon or, you know, the French horn. They hadn't been exposed to the harp or some, you know, cello double bass. And I would have to say, okay, how do you think you play this instrument? And they'd take a guess, and then I'd say, okay, we're going to watch that now. And I was able to bring in some of that background I had in the orchestra. And I really appreciated being able to fall back on that when I taught in Fiji. I was able to share something new with the kids. And these kids were not all Fijian kids, but a lot of them hadn't lived in countries that had those instruments. They traveled around a lot. So there was a great value to me as a teacher again there. Yeah, very, very blessed.
Wow, no, I think that we want to say Vinaka vakalevu to you for bringing your experience, you know, from over to Fiji and, you know, touching the lives of those children at international school. I also remember Bex, that you did your undergraduate studies, right? At the university.
Yes.
Can you explain why you chose that pathway?
Yeah, so I went into the University of Auckland as an arts student. I did a Bachelor of Arts. Well, I did a year. I was very interested in languages, which might give you a clue as to why I now speak your language. But I was very interested in all kinds of languages, and particularly was doing a lot of Romance languages. I had done French and German through school, 5 years, and then I did an intensive 1-year Italian course at University of Auckland. I thought that was my direction. I thought, okay, I'm going to do something here with language. And I love the cultures that I was learning about. Little did I know that was just the foundation again for me to come and immerse myself in Fijian culture and Pacific, Pacific culture and language. So it all leads somewhere. You just don't always know exactly where, but that was the beginning of me getting interested in culture and language. And then I knew that I needed to do music. I didn't know how I was going to tie that into this degree, but I suddenly heard halfway through the year that a Bachelor of Music in Jazz was opening up. The course was opening up the following year. And jazz was a really new concept to me, but I knew that it's got some sounds I love. And I grew up loving, with a church background, I grew up loving gospel music. Gospel, and then I fell into loving R&B because I grew up in the 90s. So R&B was a big thing, in the 90s. So gospel and R&B, and then I had got quite fond of hip hop. And all of these genres pull jazz into them, it's urban music. So I thought jazz sounds really exciting to me. I'm gonna look into that. And I went and I did an audition. And when I did the audition, they said to me, "You've got a great voice for music theater," which is like those Phantom of the Opera kind of shows, Broadway. But it wasn't my passion. I thought, no, I don't want to do that. I want to dig into this new style. What is this jazz? So I think only 10 students got into the course that year, and I was one of them. And I had to prove myself for the whole year. They were like, "We're not sure if you're going to be a jazz singer. You might be more of a show singer." So I had to work double hard. And there were 3 singers that came into that course. And by the end of the first year, I was the only one standing because the other girls had dropped out. The course was not built for vocalists. It was built for saxophone and piano players, instrumentalists. And it was tough. It was hard work. So I got like sort of a baptism of fire into that world of jazz, and I had to work very hard. Yeah, really, really hard. It's complex music theory, wow. A lot of difficult harmonies and composition things I had to learn. Wow. And the way that we learned, which also comes in handy now with language, was listening and writing down. So just transcribing. I had to listen so hard and rewind and try and write down what was the note I heard. And that was how we would have to sit our exams. Wow. So, that was really tough. And it was 2011. 2001. 2001, I remember, that September 11, 2001. I remember that year that happened. And that was towards the end of my first year of jazz school. And I remember at that moment thinking, man, this is tough. Yeah, but I came through it. I did, that was another 3 years on top of the first year I had done in my arts course. And I was the only female vocalist, to graduate.
Oh, congratulations. Wow. That's amazing, that it's so tough, but you still, managed to go through, even though the people in the department were second guessing you, like,
yeah,
for this, and you proved them, right? You made the effort and you did it.
And people need to know that, like anyone out there who feels like they've got some doubt, but they know they've got some interest in something, it always pays to push through, because there was all this doubt around me, not my ability, but just my background being so classical. I don't think they thought I could make the switch into the jazz genre. But, humans are amazing. We can adapt very easily to things if we really want something. And if you persevere enough, and Nay, you're somebody that is, I admire for this. You're very perseverant. You can achieve anything. Like, for example, everybody out there that's watching this show knows that you have built a platform in a very short amount of time with a really amazing audience. And that's from perseverance. And it's not easy, I know, because I've built a platform too. And it takes a lot of hard work, and you have to push through. Sometimes you don't feel like doing things, but just want to encourage everybody out there, if you're passionate about something, don't let doubt get in the way.
Yes, that's a very good point. Absolutely. It comes to a point, when you're feeling mentally tired, or sometimes I even like second guess myself, am I really doing this? Is this the right time? Do I have the, the right view of whatever that I'm doing? But grit, right, is such an important going.
Yes.
Yeah. Whatever comes your way, and also with the support of the family, that is important. Without the people behind you in whatever that you do, it makes it really, really difficult. So
Absolutely.
you've got your mom and your grandmother and your sister and all these amazing women. And I'm sure there are also men out there who support, but because it's Women's History Month.
Celebrate the women. Lewa strong.
Woohoo! That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you mentioned about that song, Lewa Strong, and I knew that you were promoting it. Was it last year or the year before? Can you just share about that song?
It was written in 2018. It came from a difficult situation I had been in, where I felt up against the wall in a situation, and it was about grit, really. It's about knowing. It's about knowing that you've got some strength deep down inside, and it's like your reserves that are sitting there for a rainy day, and you have to pull on that one, because at some time in our lives, us women will have to dig deeper, you know, and we are strong. Women are strong. I read something the other day about this, that women don't need to be stronger because we're already strong, but it's just that we need to believe in ourselves, that we have that strength. You know, we need to back ourselves a bit more and have the confidence that, you know, we can achieve anything we want to. And that's what the song is about. It's like, it's about equality. It's about empowering women. And it talks about, you know, these modern careers that all of the women have now. I mean, there's girls in Fiji who have gone on to become aircraft engineers, or, you know, they're captaining ships. They're doing huge things. They're politicians. They're musicians like me. They've got a platform somewhere. They're doing things that I think traditionally in a lot of our cultures, they would have been maybe looked down on for girls to go ahead and do these kind of careers. It's like, no, there's a place for you, and that's not it. That's a man's space. And as much as we want to acknowledge the men in our lives, we also want to empower our women, and we want to say, no, you have a space too there. You can fit in there. You know, if that's what you want to do, you go for it. So Lewa Strong is just all about that. And it was specifically written for the girls of Fiji. I wanted to empower them. And it talks about the way that Fiji's meant to be. You know, we're meant to be able to empower our girls. And it's a message to parents. It's a message to husbands. It's a message to brothers. And it became a movement. So I basically started talking about, I feel that my role as a mom now is to teach my girl to know that she has that ability inside her, and to teach my boys to empower her and all of the women in their lives. So we have that strong role, you know, as a parent to say, you know, the kitchen is not just the girls' domain. You boys can come and help wash up these dishes. And also, you know, just to be a mechanic is not necessarily a boy's job. Let's get rid of those gendered roles and empower everybody, and just say we're all able to do what we want to do in life. Let's help each other. Yeah.
Ah, Vinaka, vakalevu. Bex, and I think for those of you who are listening in, Lewa Strong. Yeah, I think you started a hashtag, right? Hashtag Lewa Strong.
It was trending for a while. It was really nice. And I love seeing when men would put the frame around their profile picture, you know, on Facebook. So we should start it again, because it was really nice to see men supporting women all over Facebook. It was lovely. Yeah.
That's awesome. Naka vakalevu. For, you know, coming up with, you know, using music as a way to empower our women. As you mentioned, that there's so many women, in the case of Fiji, many women leading in different fields, which is amazing. Yeah, in the airline industry, in law, in medicine, and
politics.
Absolutely, politics. And now we have you in the music industry, and there's also other women, and I will be looking at, you know, inviting other friends of yours, women singers throughout the year, to see whether we can invite at least one every month, you know,
lovely.
You know, share their talanoa. And also on Tuesday, Fiji time, or New Zealand time, 2 days ago, I was to speak to a group of women, which is, the group is called BTS, Breaking the Silence, Breaking the Silence Fiji. It's a really wonderful NGO. It's a brand new group of amazing women. So I'll share with you a little bit more about this group, Bex, especially involving a lot of women from different facets of society to contribute to their mission. And it's amazing. And I want to give a shout out to rocker singer Morrison, who is based in Auckland, apparently. So maybe I
Ah,
can get her to meet with.
connect us. Yes.
So she is at the Unitech,
Ah,
at the institution there. So she's an amazing woman to work at the University of the South Pacific. But again, speaking about women empowerment and helping other women who may not be as fortunate as us, who are
yes.
silently, going through their whatever issues that they're going through in the poor, in their village, in the rural areas. So
Yes.
it's really nice to see all these women who are retired police women, retired doctors. They're all professionals, but most of them were retired and they want to help out. So that was amazing. So when I
Wonderful.
got Leo Strong, and I'm thinking, wow, I can see the synergy happening there.
Yeah, it relates on many levels. Just on that note, because I wanted to say something. I've been meaning to put this on my social media as well, but since we're talking about it, I just wanted to put out this notion of women backing women. It's really important that we've got each other's back rather than, some other things that can happen sometimes we see, kece or whatever. But, it's tempting to sometimes follow what other people might say, but I always think it's best to get information from the source. So unless you know it from the source, believe in the best in someone. And women, we've got to back each other because we're on the same team. And, it is Women's Month, and I think it's really good to highlight that especially, being in the public eye like you and I. We face it all the time. People make assumptions about things, but it's always much nicer when someone comes to you and asks you, oh, I heard this thing. So instead of that, why don't we back each other? Just wanted to put that out there. It's very important, we need to support each other.
Vinaka, that's a wonderful message. Yeah, for our women out there, I can see there's a lot of women sending their best wishes to you, Sassy, from the United States, from Europe, from Australia, even in Fiji. So that's a really good message that women, we need to support other women. So rather than going the opposite way or pulling each other down, let's lift each other up.
Right.
Celebrate. Yeah. Wow.
Yes. Thank you, Vinaka. Vinaka.
You mentioned about jazz and you studied that at the University of Auckland. What was your view of the jazz platform, maybe in Fiji? How did you find that niche when you were there?
Oh, you might make me cry because I can only think of Robert Verma. No, but there's a wonderful woman that is tied in with Robert Verma, and that is Auntie Darlene Underwood. So Darlene Underwood, many of us know her from the amazing work she did with the Uprising Festival. She was the director of that for 10 years, and she did an amazing job. She built that festival from grassroots, and it's huge now. It's one of the best festivals in the South Pacific, I'd say, and I've loved performing them so much. Darlene and Robert were great supporters of me from the beginning when I first came to Fiji as a jazz singer from New Zealand, and they both love jazz. Robert Verma, as everybody would know, being a wonderful jazz guitarist and singer. And he became like a father to me, and Darlene like a mum. So with Pa's passing, it was really quite a moment for me that I felt like I needed to carry the torch for the jazz musicians to, there was really a small scene already in Fiji. I think that's also because of the lack of access to instruments and access to education around jazz. We're so lucky here, but in Fiji it's really just down to passing on knowledge generation to generation, or if you're lucky enough to have technology, then being able to go and try and search on YouTube maybe. But in terms of having a course that you can attend or somewhere where you can go and listen to live jazz jams, which happens around the world, it doesn't really happen in Fiji much. So that was one thing that I felt I really wanted to be able to build a bit more. And I've dabbled in it, and I've played some great jazz gigs while I've been in Fiji, but I think the best is yet to come. Yeah, so, in memory and to honor Robert Verma, you'll see me doing some more jazz in the future in Fiji. And Darlene is really keen. She's done a couple of amazing jazz concerts in the last few years, which I was involved in a few of them. We did one recently at Shenanigans, and that was well, it was over a year ago now, but it was really tops. So I think there's another one coming up she's doing, and we'll continue to try and build and maybe get back into having festivals. You know, when the borders open, it will enable, like I said, access and having people that are able to give their time. And I'd love to go and put some time in and help build up that talent over there.
Wow, excellent. Oh, that's really good. And I think we need to acknowledge Darlene Underwood. She's based in Pacific Harbor, is that right?
Darlene, she is. She's in the Arts Village. Oh, she's just a wonderful woman and so passionate and always got her finger on the pulse. Like, she knows all the hot new artists. Even in New Zealand, she's following all the bands. Yeah, she's really a woman I admire. You know, speaking of women I admire, she's one of them for sure. Yeah. Wonderful woman.
Yeah, really good that you also mentioned about the Uprising Festival. I know it's really one of those events that are on the Fiji calendar. I remember flying to the, Fiji Airways, and I was reading the in-flight magazine, and there it was. The Uprising
Big
Festival.
poster.
Yeah, it's now like on the global platform, and everyone is like, all the festivals, and like, I'm going to go to the Uprising Festival. So it's really nice.
Yeah, it's a good vibe. Yeah, it's so good.
The stage set for local musicians to also share their skills too.
Well, I think what's really nice about it is it gives local musicians the opportunity to perform on that large stage and with the large crowd and get that festival feeling, because we don't have it a lot. And having lived in Suva for a while, I barely did that sort of thing. It didn't come by that often, but we always look forward to November. Or it's usually November that we have that festival. And we know it's going to be just a great weekend, So I hope it continues for many years. But Auntie Darlene has passed that on now to Knox Entertainment. So I know she's got some other festivals up her sleeve. I've seen rumors about a reggae one that's coming up. So we're very excited to see what's in store for us there. Yeah.
And so Bex, being, you're from New Zealand and you've moved back and forth to Fiji and back again to New Zealand. What's your kind of like thoughts about this, maybe I should say the quality of the work that our Fijian musicians have back in Fiji? What are your thoughts and what are your own assessments about the level and the quality back home?
It's really something to behold, the way that these musicians develop their craft with such, again, limited resources and access to things. So I must say that it's impressive to see some musicians that I've worked with or that I've observed, they've just really been so dedicated to their craft that they've done whatever it takes to get forward. And there's a couple of bands I can think of that have worked persistently again, just to try and get a step ahead. And I think technology really has made a remarkable difference since I've been there, because I've been back and forth, as you say, it's quite a long time, maybe 15 years. So in that time I've seen, I think the biggest change with technology is the way that music is produced. And I'm the same, that we're now leaning more on electronic production of music. So we work with producers that actually create beats for us rather than the live instrumentation. And again, that's mainly because of access and resources. So it's easier for us to go to a producer and they can pull sounds from different programs. And usually with me, I play on the keyboard what my ideas are and plug it in. So I know a lot of musicians are doing that. Some of them are producing themselves, which is amazing. And the quality is really good. There's stuff that's being played on overseas radio. And that's always a good indication that the quality is good, And I think we're hearing some kind of different influences in Fijian music these days, Fijian pop music. It's not the traditional vunde that you might have heard, or like singing, drinking, those main sort of genres. Now we're hearing all kinds of dance genres that have come from places in Africa or South America, And there's also that strong Melanesian influence. There's a lot of good producers in Solomon Islands and Papua New Guinea, and that's definitely rubbed off in Fiji as well. But what I would like to see is more collaboration there. It'd be really nice if we had a bit more of an open door with the musicians, sort of being able to come and go quite easily and perform in each other's countries, you know, just support each other once again. And that would just involve looking at the sort of regulations around tax and entering the country and working, just with our own islands, you know, the neighboring islands. It'd be really nice if there was kind of an understanding that we're helping each other out, because we are, you know, we're actually helping build musical knowledge and experience.
Yeah, no, that's actually a very good point, because I know in Vanuatu they have a festival called Fest Napuan, and they invite even singers from all over the world, and even singers from Fiji go over as guest performers. So it's really Vanuatu can do it. You know, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Solomon Islands, New Caledonia, of course, they have that French influence and support from the government. But you're absolutely right. Collaboration and open door policies to artists is great.
It would be good. I mean, I performed at Fest Napuan many years ago with a New Zealand band, and I've performed in Tonga with a New Zealand band once again, and Australia. But when it came to living in Fiji and wanting to have that collaboration, it felt a little harder. I don't know if it's just that we need to, just get some kind of a bridge there, so that the countries can talk to each other a bit easily about, you know, how about we have this festival and it moves around the countries, you know? That would be so nice if we could have like a tour that would just go around those islands, and kind of one working group. Yeah, I mean, these are all big ideas, but I don't think it's impossible. I think these are things we could look at, you know, if we had a really good kind of, not a union, probably something else for the arts, but we need to maybe have like a working committee to work on some ideas, and also, you know, Nay, it's always about funding. So it's, where does the money come from? That's the other thing. But it's just putting it out there to all of everyone listening from overseas. If you know that there's a funding source, people that are interested in supporting the arts in the Pacific, you know, you can contact myself or Teresi, because, you know, we're obviously big advocates for that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. Collaboration is the key, and also funding. Yeah, so getting, you know, sponsors or financial support. I'm sure there will be so many options that will come in if we all work together, sharing ideas, and the money they will definitely
absolutely.
We have the really like-minded people. Wow, beautiful. Now my next question is, you know, looking at the songs that you've been singing, because I understand when we were still in Auckland, I remember coming to your house, and we used to sing, you know, with Tamai, and the kids were still small at that time. I think it was just Minnie and Bella, and you know, we used to sing some sere Vakaviti. And I know Momo brings his guitar, and we used to sing. And just coming along and singing. And I just love the way you just enjoyed singing in Fijian. You know, you never complain, you just jump in and start singing away. And how did that interest in the Vakaviti and to include it in your songs, how did they all start for you?
I think, you know, there was that interest already, like I said, in language and culture. So it was already kind of fascinating to me. And as I just mentioned, I'd done some tours around the Pacific. Every time I went to a different Pacific island, I thought, wow, I love this. This is the kind of thing I really can get into. I love the way of life. You know, I was really enjoying learning about these cultures. And then when I went to Fiji, I really just like fell in love with Fiji, and the music just struck me. You know, I didn't really understand the lyrics in those early days, but there was beauty. I don't know why, but there was just beauty in it. And it's funny, I have fans now that tell me like, your song's so beautiful, but I don't even understand it, but it's so beautiful. I think, I don't know what it is, if it's just the way the lyrics kind of roll off the tongue, maybe like when we hear French or something, and it just sounds exotic. So I was already attracted to the sound of it. And then I would start to listen more. And, you know, as you said, it was mainly singing, drinking. It was around the kava bowl. You know, it was like, okay, well, we're having a mix, so we're going to sing some songs. And for me, that was my way in, because music is my passion. So I couldn't speak the language, but I could copy and I could sing along. And then as I copied more and I listened and I copied and I learned, and then I kind of understood more, I built this kind of more of an understanding about Fijian music, and more of a hunger. Then I started to want to actually speak the language more. So I worked harder at it. And with that came a desire to write my own music in Fijian, which I tried. And I tried to do that a few times before my amazing husband helped me, but it never kind of fell into place in such a way that it has now, because obviously I'm not a native speaker. So if you try to write poetry or lyrics in another language, you'll know it's just not going to flow as well as it would in your mother tongue. I mean, unless you're Polongareti or something. But for me, I felt like I was writing much more basic lyrics than I would like to, and I had deeper meaning that I wanted to express. So I did try to collaborate with people, and it was okay. But then finally, you know, once my husband, PJ SIOWELI, came on the scene, then it was like a different level for me. And that's where I felt I could express myself in the vernacular the way I've always wanted to.
Yes, because I know
I'm very blessed.
You're doing a couple of covers. You know, you do covers, even some of the songs that George Fiji Vikoso sings, eh?
Yes, yeah.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Yeah, that one. What else have you sung for the?
Oh, well, I did those two that were well received. You know, I did Dolomanikila, and I did Seni Mokosoi. Well, Dolomanikila, I had a long history of singing that one, and people knew that I sing that one. And the TV had picked up on it once or twice. And then, you know, we did a real version of it, a recorded version, and it was, you know, with Savuto and Egi. Yes. And that one was, people loved that. I think it's just such a beautiful song, you know. But it's still the Kavoro kind of song. So it was like, you know, not what we were wanting to achieve with our own music, but it's okay to have the old heartbreak song. We just wanted to go a different direction. We want to be positive and speak of love. But Seni Mokosoi, I actually covered that because PJ's grandmother is from Vuna, very chiefly. And that song was a Vuna song, and that was written by a relative of theirs. So it was very close to their heart. And they had asked me to do that one. And it's very fun when I sing it and there's Vuna people in the audience, I have to say. I still love singing the covers. It's always lots of fun, you know, things like Loma Loma, when I sing them and everyone hits the floor, because those songs have a memory point. There's something about it triggers home for them, especially, you know, if you're living overseas. You hear the song and it's like, oh, you relax. You just feel like you're home. Yes. Yeah, and music does that to people. It makes them feel really warm and good inside. And so I love that. But writing the originals with PJ has been the icing on the cake for me. It's just been so lovely to express ourselves and tell our own stories.
Absolutely. Yeah. So is it okay if he joins you now? Is he ready, or can he join you? Or,
yes. Yeah, we can call, maybe we call him on the live.
Yeah.
Hey, Sio. I think he's watching in the room.
Yeah.
He's probably watching in the room.
Yeah. Because I know you've got the Kalo Kalo Ivola Bembe Kula, Totoka Niadamu. You know, those are all those amazing singles that every time you release it, everyone just go crazy because it's just so beautiful, and the words are so append so beautifully.
That's very true, Ne.
Yes, the writing was done all by PJ.
Yeah, so the lyrics. So that's come here now. He's coming. So that's the thing that I think really, you know, for me, I feel so lucky to have someone that's able to write these lyrics like this, and it works so well with me because I can write the melody and the music, and well, what a great team, you know. But it wasn't planned. It was one of those things that just came together really naturally. And yeah, I mean, PJ's lyrics are something that you haven't heard much of in this day and age. It's like from a time gone by. You know, a lot of people comment on that.
The metaphors. The metaphors.
Right.
The words.
Right, here he is.
Yeah.
That's right. It's like he's really learned a lot of that. You can speak to it, Dal, but like the poetry that you hear, It's something from the older generation. And something I really admire about Sio is that he's grown up with his grandparents and he's placed so much value on what they've taught him. He's an amazing cook, and I have to credit now his grandmother for that. I'm very blessed. But also what Ratu has taught what Ratu has taught him, his grandfather, is you know, that beauty of the with words, what he can do with words, telling a story and weaving, as you say, weaving metaphors together in such a way that people are left in tears because it just strikes them.
Yes.
Yeah. I read the comments on YouTube and I'm like, man, I love how it makes them feel. Yes. And this is taking me out of the picture. It's not about the music. It's just the words. Before the music even hits, it's the words, you know, like. It's heavy.
Na kena te kubu bai ko na no mundo sa te kubu bola sere. Te kubu manda bakavava bai ko rone pa madal takamanda.
Vinaka maramatau. Mata ono be wampulo nga bikim dina warong tu bai di wambibi bikim ro. Na wale na bisureti tiku mikro bai kinto me Veitalanoa tiku. Yo vinaka na bola sere. Sila bola sere kali manda kai. Ondu wase tu meli unyu ambulo watamai. Matikero na ngase nungu na tumbu ni nungu tumbu marama. Tumbu ni tilangue. O na tumbu rotu eselelinga nuko entu esindu bosar vale buka. Ele waka entu bola ko me bola ba serkali. Me bokani yung nolongole to kung duwili ka bali ubyo na serkali. Sa tingubutu me ka nung kundo tingubukin na bol serkali. Kamumbulo patakama o maramana tubugo talaga do bola serkali. Rosage do baya to rondo wakalongolongo da vi meses taki na telefoni. Ora undo vi bola serkali. Kamumbulo patamay kina. Ito nakatali dali nakala mi da Buli kina. Ayo mantanga o vakalevu na tume na kina nung bula patamay na bola serkali. Sini may ang kimi bay bandin din ito kina na kina sa may banta kina sere. Kami binyo na tayo boss na tuki. Na tubutubo ni boss bekaran to lakabutu may liwar na matwa.
And I think Bex, you were mentioning the words, like how the words touches the listeners. Baleta na voce bito nung bito may chaire below uti sarangai. So talaga na voce sa voce Macau.
Sa Macau sir, kadin.
And you bring it back. Hey, bring it back into a modern setting where a lot of us are just appreciating listening to.
Hindi na sir. Baka may baya to like niru style na. Na style ni watang ko. Baka may ngulit ko na ko. Patakan na bola serkali. Baka ambulay may nangon na rangkase. Hindi may romito ko pata. May karuwa mo rito kina style ni rodo Buli sere. Usala ka tulungan.
It's so beautiful. You bring in the past to make it relevant to today. And no wonder everybody's just loving your platform and congratulations for the 1 million viewing. Woo! Oh my goodness. Just so you know, I don't know, I think now everybody will know. Before my class starts here at the University of Hawaii, I play the Kotu Yawasara song to my students.
Man.
And I play.
Okay, you're the reason Saranga that it got to 1 million.
I think so. I
I
think
think so.
And my
All these students in Hawaii.
students, they love it. You know, I usually come to class like 10 minutes before the hour. I usually play, music just so they can, like feel positive and ready for my classes. And for some reason, I play all your songs, and the Kotuya Sara is just, hits everyone. And I start getting messages from them. Lisa, what is that song? Can you send me the link? It's just so beautiful. And then I start sending
Naka.
not to do with my classes, but to do with your music.
Man, you can be our manager. Thank you. Agent in Hawaii. I love that. Well, I feel like talking about bringing the old into the new. The reason that I really love that is that it's helping sort of promote the vernacular, but to a new audience. So not only to gang who listen to Fijian music, actually our audience is not really those people. Maybe some of them, but a lot of our audience actually goes out of their way to tell us, I don't usually like to listen to Fijian music, or I've never even heard a Fijian song before, I don't speak the language. And it's like, okay, so this is a whole new pool of people that we're able to promote Fijian language and culture to. I love that, That is really wonderful for the culture, because we want to preserve it and we want to promote it, and we want the next generation to speak it and pass it on.
Absolutely. It just makes our children so proud, of their own language. You're bringing back that pride.
I love that.
Speaking the language, and now your music is adding another layer of language appreciation. So from all of us, we just want to say to both of you, Vinaka vakalevu. Because your song, the singer, Bembe Koula, Totoka Niadam, Otuya Osara, and now you just released another single, and it just, yes, and the hit, keeps hitting us,
The hits keep hitting. Well, we want to thank all of our audience, each and every one of you that has supported our music. From day one, we released Kalo Kalo Wala Singer. We didn't even know that you people were listening to it. We were living in Taveuni and we were unplugged, but it hit. And as you say, for some reason, it really resonated with them. And we're so grateful because it's given us this platform that we're able to build on and able to promote the music more and the language and the culture here in New Zealand, all around the world. Because of technology, we're able to do that. And it doesn't matter where we are, Fijians will find each other and gather. And whether it's online or in person, things like this platform you've built as well, Nay, it helps us come together and celebrate these artistic feats together and really just promote the culture and the language. So we're so grateful that we're able to do that and share that with everyone. And we just thank you so much for supporting us. Vinaka.
And for the Kotuya Sara, how did you, both of you, how did you two celebrate the 1 million views?
It was a Saturday morning. And we were like woken up by the message. I got the message from Paris Nasarwa, who's been a wonderful supporter of ours, done a lot of promotion and marketing for us. Paris said, you hit 1 million, and did all these like celebration thing on the Facebook. And I was like, what? And then I checked YouTube and I got a shock to see, wow, 1 million views. That's something. And we just looked at each other and wanted to thank God because, well, we've called our son Jaira, because God does provide. And people might think, oh, it's just numbers. But for us artists, it helps us in many ways to have views on things like YouTube. We're able to go and, as you know, Nay, we can apply for funding and things. And they look at that. They want to see you've got an audience. So every time that people watch our song, they might not realize they're helping us in many ways more than just listening to the song.
And for the Chere, with you writing, then I have a few people commenting here, all appreciate, they all writing down which one is their favorite. So everybody was listening in, write down your
Naka.
and why. So Tamai with the song Kotuya Osara, another bebang giti kemundrau mo bola na serengo Tamai Chere.
Naka. Na bola sere lagi mateni ngola kerwa rilis kila kona serena kalau bola singa. Kalau samai reda ni sa ni leweni tali tikina. Kalau ni listal juga tapi dia sa Satu na sartugo tinenjare me sa vola Italia sona ser. Sabi dia que na vakasama. Endira ni me release tale vida ser ni berra kotiosa karoni ser vola me tu. Ka yo ndo pro mateni ser ko vola me tu. Yo sa o me Veitalanoa tu betalando le ruto kan dolang ser tala. O ele saben dava ngai tarong tu mo ka ngai sule mo ka na vakasama. Quando mo volando a ser beltera na veiwatini ratu na mativalu. Ngai dolu servio beltene maramana ni gue bawa titala na mativalu the British Army. O Maria. Ngai me tuana na lo Veitalanoa na ngole tikne viti. Ka tu mai bonatano tina, turano tina. Kendo pamurian na talo ni sere mana tik-tik gue. Ni rekina lo na ni tangi mata libonia. Na yalo ngawari do bo. Na ngole setika ni kine viti ka tu mai tayo tina tui. Sama Buli kina sere. Na ngole release kina karogere dan dile pura taliti kina sere. Game release tal tu ngala ngona serangan ni mateli ngona sang itu bukan na mateli na COVID kali butal ngara rasia memik nara le bora bolo be bikro ra tu mai ni ra ni relate na sere batani dole na ngona le bora tu biawa kitu kina na talo ni ser ni maramana ani ku tu Goro satu roro tu mes kotelet. Iyo, kero na barong tal tu banga Maria kitu bobo do bula.
Bula mes kotelandi.
Lamia.
Iya.
Totoka saranga isa. Tegere dia na sere roba imbale tu na kena Veitalanoa tu na kena semata keda na be tamata tambasakayani barong cukup na rodui tutu ko tu me balangi ko tu me viti na sere sambo taranjir sarangana yalo ni tamata baka tamata na kalo bola sina na sere
Nah karena kalau bola sina mati sarani ser kiro bola na kiro Veitalanoa nangono kiro na talo ni ser gue waseta ngabale na kena talo ni Rusia mabatame kerwa soto mesuba sampai sana ambaki rua sao timbe ber ni rosota ni ro metingu batikini tevi ni ondu waseta wa ni bola serkali yo sama itu ni tevi ni ya sao tero nambaki dona singo day off o job tu kile dono hotel aí te vindo na kia o day off ko roti ko bale hangi tu nasara ko beo eu kuntu tuntulo lento bola serkali ni bola mantanto na serkali mo bola serkali na autoranso sita me dava mo bola talo ni dava mo bola kasar ko bola mantan takin Veitalanoa sama no tarasramento na peni pe pausati usar kala bola na kena Veitalanoa talo ting-ting aquilo na liro kero Veitalanoa kero ado na kero misot kina kero mitubi awa kitu yani belai ele na tu bose mante kilo me mamadal ting aquilo na ni rombulai
totoka satu baki saranga baka matau nakatalanga uri de mena nungure ba andobir na wasa vai tuki esa momona engai titom na keni balbalanga na kena ngun salamur ni pamagal iya I'm just explaining to PJ the depth of the word meaning is so it just I don't know how to explain it in very simple English.
That's exactly the problem, you know, like we can't explain some of that metaphor, the metaphors you hear in Fijian. It's very hard to translate in English. And sometimes it sounds like not very heavy meaning. And like, you really need to understand, like in Fijian, it's very, very hard. But sometimes we've tried to put looser translations up on our YouTube clips. And I had received criticism, someone said like, the translation's a bit off. And I had to message them and say, yeah, it's not directly translated, because if it was, it would lose meaning. So we have to put a conceptual translation, like sum it up, sum up the vibe of every sentence, because it really, like some of it, I remember in the early days, I would ask PJ like, okay, so from what I'm understanding, and I would translate word for word, not like holistically. That's my kind of translation. I'm like, it sounds like, and I'll put these words together. And I said, I don't really know what that means in English. But he'd be like, oh no, well in Fijian, it means something completely different and deep. And I'm like, man, okay, so we need to do something for our non-Fijian speakers so that they can feel included in the depth of meaning. And it is a challenge. Like, I mean, I'm sure other people face this. I'm sure you faced it too, with trying to convey meaning, crossing over into English. It's just, there's like no right words sometimes to describe it.
Kena bibi ni ora você toki. Se você va toki ni vivono tentale. Saru bimbi se titumba. Dali pa madala tikil pa pala ngi vele di altel vale na kena balimbalintina. Ya na posa kena bibi ni nda posa. Na posa tu posa con la banduna ndo dom li sene kena ua. Ando na kandre lu sanga to mo babanje o te kena me babanje o te ki ba pertanya. Ba to ka kena bibi.
See, you're using the reef and you're using the stars, and you're using the vatu, the rocks, and the diamond, and all these things, when you listen,
imagery,
the imagery, it just comes alive. And I think it's a wonderful job that both of you are doing as a team, as a collective. You are working together, with Tamai Chaire, coming in with the Vakaviti, and the depth of his knowledge of the language is amazing. And then coming with you, Bex, with your music and your own background, it just works well. And again,
Vinaka.
To acknowledge poetry, and I remember when I was in class 1, class 2, we used to do sere,
Right.
Down on it, even for me, I still remember, because I went to Namboa Primary School. I was very fortunate that Namboa Primary was really pushing, us to be creative with the Vakaviti.
Wow.
It was beautiful, and I think that sets.
I love that.
Now that I'm nearly 50, I'm still, my appreciation of the Vakaviti gets deeper and deeper every day. See. And so,
it's
both of you, what's your advice for your audience with our appreciation of the Vakaviti?
I think just on that note, it's so lovely what you said about Namboa Primary School. Like, you should go back and talk to the kids about that, because, oh man, like just living in, mainly Suva, I can reference, and seeing kids every day going off to school, and just knowing that there are so many great minds out there that just need a chance, and for them, maybe just to know that, hey, your poetry can take you somewhere, and also to know that they can express themselves through the written word, rather than just feeling like essays is the only way. You can also do poetry, and you could write songs. And some people say, but I don't know where to start. And I think it's just, you just start from what is inspiring you. Like, PJ uses the things around him all the time. He sits down on the beach and he looks around and he writes a song just from what he's seeing, which looks similar to your background, May. And it inspires him, like that sort of, just some of his lines. People are like, what inspired that? And it's like, literally he was sitting on the beach, And I think that people need to get their emotions and feelings out. Kids need to. They need to know how to process anger, jealousy, feeling down. These are normal human emotions. But if you write about them, it's like you've relieved yourself of that feeling. You can dump it somewhere. So it's actually valuable for mental health as well. It's a well-being thing. We both would advocate for that. That, on your down days, why don't you put pen to paper, Just write something. So I'd love to encourage everyone out there to, you know, if you're a parent, don't forget that the arts has an important role to play in all of those other aspects of wellness. Yeah, it's very important.
And I have to say as well that the beautiful what do you call views of the island of Taveuni, as we all know.
Ooh, so
Taveuni is
inspiring.
the garden island of Fiji, and I'm sure you know Taveuni sits there on that beautiful beach and writing those you know those amazing songs. So Tamai Jaire, were those were you know inspirational moments for you when you're actually sitting there and looking out, and I can picture those beautiful scenery in Taveuni.
Wow.
Absolutely. Like we draw our inspiration as artists. We do our draw our inspirations from the things around us, the person that influences us. For me, Taveuni is so dear to me. It's home. Yeah. Even though I'm not from Taveuni, my mom is from Taveuni. My dad is actually from not too far away from Taveuni though, from Boa. Taveuni has always been dear to me.
So
I was born and bred.
Yeah, but I think Taveuni is more beautiful. Maybe I'm a little.
Oh, have to.
Have to.
Yeah. Oh, that is so beautiful, and I'm sure I just want really acknowledge both of you, and you know, for acknowledging all those people that helped you along the way. You know, the creativity. So maybe at this time, if you wanna, you know, say a few words to those who have supported you, both of your families, for Tamai Chaire, know there's your relatives and families listening in from Fiji, from Boa and Taveuni. If you want to say something or acknowledge them now, this is your time.
Give you the floor for a minute.
So, Vinaka. Sana was to mandanga bani to.
Don't Vinaka.
Yeah, Vinaka bi matai bi kumni nando wamuretu na watai. Saka liu na niro babil Vinaka. Sini kiro namakila. Ni na koti kiro sara na wolo kiro satu kilo na niro raraka. Yesa endina na bosa nindo kai ni salua kini no tos. Na bitoko tamata tu takunda ko ngala sakali na ni roba bila ni andu dosar na do toko na tu na ralaka kan karu ave bikum do bakla bobale na ronangasi roto mitavini na ratu na ngutumbu o Petero SIOWELI o bairro de Nikua até que Suzy até que retornar lá erto do latagu não vale usar lá do bitoko nitigo não vale do bibandi técnico sa tu na ba nui ni na to so na tu na bolo me vale na to so na tu na garabi luto na garabi tapia ba bila tala bi kumrau Dr. T até que torna tau na visuri titiku me kero me bosa tiku sa gokele na ndian jawa ni toso ni ndo di toso kali no roba bila
na ka vale sar na ka tamai Chaire na mo bosa ni Vakaviti Vinaka Vinaka ira ke na bioka era barro tu como está tu sartu go Chaire
saya no talo mina mode
na raita ko meron ang gasi may Taveuni sakali na dorobo Chaire sakali sara como Chaire na elo Vinaka na do elo dinetiko na bola sere ni Vinaka tu ni sachi go Chaire sana no nang kaya kata bato ko babita mani me bola ital bakalevu na sere au saker saranga Bex, we will need more beautiful songs now inspired by Chaire and inspired by Chaire's dad. I'm sure you continue to write more songs. So for you, Sassy, what's the future for you both in terms of your music? And I'm sure for those of you who are listening, Bex will be, Sassy will be singing us a song So to acknowledge those of you who are still hanging around. So there's more than 100 devices are still on at this moment.
Wow.
So over to you, Sassy. What's in the future for Sassy?
Naka, yeah, we actually last year, wow, everybody knows what happened. COVID really hit hard and the Pacific kind of just shut their doors. So we were in the process of planning a big tour and we were really looking forward to that. So that's still a plan of ours and that is definitely going to happen. Obviously, it might look a bit different because at the moment, borders are still kind of closed. So we will be touring New Zealand this year for sure. I'm sure there's a lot of Kiwi Fijians and maybe non-Fijians too that are really excited about that because it'll make you feel like you're closer to home and I love that. And thank you so much to everyone around New Zealand that's been shouting out to us and just saying, you know, we're so happy you're here. That made us feel really good because we left what we knew was our audience. We left the home base and it can be scary for artists to do that. So coming to New Zealand and being welcomed here by the community has been lovely. Vinaka. Also, we have Australia. We have a lot of communities in Australia that are keen for us to come. So touring is on the cards and of course coming back to Fiji. We've got an album worth of material, so you'll be hearing many more songs, of course. And now with, yes, as you said, Jaira being born, and we have other things that we've been inspired to write about. We've also got a real heart for, the children of Fiji and some kind of agendas that we have that we'd like to use our platform to promote things about. So yeah, we'll probably be writing a little bit about some of those issues, domestic violence, child abuse, things like that, some major heavy issues that we feel are important. And it's really something that artists should be mindful of, is that we have a platform and we should be using it for, you know, to be a voice for people that don't have one. So I always take that into consideration. That's something that PJ and I are talking about all the time. And I think there'll be a lot more live shows just on my Facebook page. I'll just be going live more now that we've settled into our home in Auckland and baby's getting older. So we have plans to do some online performances as well. But in the meantime, we're here and we're writing music. We haven't given up. We've just shifted location. But we're here.
Oh, Vinaka, wow. And I think from all your fans around the world, and particularly tonight, there's a wonderful number of families that are watching from all over the world, and they all sharing their best wishes to you both as a couple, and also for the children, Bella, Minnie, and Moji, and are now with Jairek in the picture. It's just really awesome, to see you, enjoying your music, but also having your children around you. That's always a beautiful thing about you, You're always going to different places, different gigs, and then you see your kids, your children, beautiful Salian round children running around. So,
you have to just say the Namosi thing, eh?
So Kavanavatu, eh? All these Kavanavatu children running around, and I'm sure, I've seen Bella singing with you, and I'm like, man, she's looking at you now as a role model, and I'm sure that's not going to be very difficult for her to step up. And
well, she's 13 now, so that's an interesting age. But she just started at Epsom Girls Grammar, and I have to say, it's so nice. It's a very big school. For those of you who don't know, it's a big school, unless you have 2,000 plus students. And we didn't know, like, are there going to be some Fijian kids there? I wasn't sure. Well, she's joined the Fijian club, and they're practicing for Polyfest, and it's so nice to see. She came home today, and she said to me, "Mom, you know what? They made me video call you just to show your face because they didn't know that you're my mom." And they love the music and all this. And then she said, and guess what? Even better, I found some relatives of mine there, right there in the Epsom Fijian club. She found some connection. And I said, man, it's a small world. And it's really nice how that boosted her so much. and gave her a sense of cultural identity. She had a lot more confidence after that. So there's something to be said for finding your crew, your group, you know, wherever you are, and just connecting. It's really important for the kids.
All the best, Bella. School at Epsom Girls Grammar, and I know you're gonna be watching you on when you're dancing on stage.
True. Bring on Polyfest.
Yes, Polyfest, and I know Alipati Trail has been working really hard too behind the scene.
Yes, that's for Pacifica. Yeah,
Pacifica, teaching the children the pigeon meke. It's always nice to see Moji, Aminio, you know, in the midst of
with the spear. They look like they can do some damage.
Oh, well done, well done.
It's so good.
So now this is the moment we've been waiting for. Automatically our device's numbers went up when I mentioned that you're going to be singing something tonight. So you have something that you prepared to sing, Sassy.
Yeah, so I'll just try and move over. I've got the keyboard here.
Vinaka. Okay, everybody. So from all of us, Vinaka vakalevu for listening. So Bex will be singing us a number.
All right, let's just see if we can bring it closer. Just want to say Vinaka to all of you that are watching. Thank you again for your support. Please don't forget to support all of our local artists. We need you right now. If you see local artists doing a live show and they're asking for the M-Pesa support or whatever, you know, it's a small amount for people overseas, and it makes such a big difference to the local artists. Because the curfew is still on. So I do believe the curfew is still on. So that means that it limits us with concerts and all of that in Fiji. So they have to do a lot more online performances. So Navalevna Vitakoni, and thank you so much for future support as well for us. We want to thank you. Oh. All right. I'll just warm up here. Can you hear that?
Yes.
Niku saruyu basibindina Rona singa kanre kumalono Tambe kilangi nangundomo Duanaka etaroba koso Sailing amando kamata embombo Nikon nongun rodolangi Nongun rombulangi Angui kalo bola singa Keobatu Mondai mani Niku saruyu wasibi dina Niku saruyu wasibi dina Nongun rondolangi Niku nongun rondolangi Nangui kalo bola singa Keobatu Mondai mani Niku saruyu wasibi dina Niku saruyu wasibi dina Kalo Bola singa Whoa little short version of it. Hey, Momo, I hear you. I hear you. I can't see you, but I hear you.
Nice. He's still remembering all those singing reggae nights in Auckland.
We must do that again sometime, eh?
Definitely. So vakalevu for an amazing interview today, Veitalanoa, with also with Tamai Chaire. Mentioned, a beautiful support for you and for your platform, and the reason why we invited you is to kickstart our Women History Month and to celebrate our women. And you've been one of those inspirational women that we have been watching and seeing over these years, and particularly using your music to empower other people. So a huge congratulations from all of us listening in and following you, and we will continue to support the work that you and Tamai Chaire have put together. And also, as you mentioned, for our viewers to continue to support our musicians at home. I know Egi Vakaviti and Natalie Rogoca, Eta Ngonerongo, so a few of these ladies.
Sabuto, oh, the ladies, yes. All the ladies, absolutely. They're doing well. They're carrying the baton there. They're doing really well. Mentioning Aggie, actually, recently Aggie had a house fire. Her flat, it burnt down. Her and her 2 boys were okay, but she lost everything, including all her music gear. Wow. So she's doing some fundraising efforts, and if you see her doing something, just go to her page if you want to help out. I'm sure she's got some links to be able to support the fundraising efforts there. Really feel for her.
Vinaka vakalevu for even continuing to think of them while you're here in Aotearoa, and I think you've shared those empowering words for all of us, and also bringing back the Lewa Strong hashtag Lewa Strong.
Yes, bring it back.
Yes, so it's really nice to bring back that hashtag. I think I saw someone mention that they want to have a t-shirt with Lewa Strong on it, so there you go.
Yes, we were meaning to do that. I've got to do that. And Meruai Rita, I need to talk to you. One set of earrings with Lewa Strong, eh?
Oh,
we need to come on. We need a collaboration, right? How about it?
Yep. So it's going to be like a set, a necklace and an earring.
Oh, necklace. Woo, love it.
Yeah.
One navu.
Kadavu.
Kadavu power.
Yeah, okay. So Bex for giving us your time. Yeah, Vinaka vakalevu for giving us your time. I know time is very precious for you and the family, but Vinaka vakalevu to you and PJ for spending your time with us today.
Nice. Thank you so much. We want to thank you very much for including us in your program. We want to thank you for your lovely platform that you've built. And Nay, you are a truly inspiring woman yourself. I'm very inspired and motivated by all the amazing things that you do all the time. And I know many women would feel that way. So bravo to you as well. We want to celebrate you right now as well.
So Vinaka, all the best to you and the family, and sembula to everyone, including Mom.
I will.
Hannah, and all the best for Bella's performance for the Polyfest. And also for
Naka.
Yeah.
Okay.
Vakavalevu is there's still some viewers still watching. Vinaka vakalevu, everybody from Australia, from the US, in Europe, and some from England watching.
Wow.
Vinaka vakalevu saba.
Yeah. Vinaka.
Madi manda.
Okay. Madi manda. Madi momo. Madi Meruai. Madi Leo.
Vinaka.
Madi.